Welcome to Business Review, a daily program that delves into the latest and most significant economic stories. From stock markets to currency news, Business Review covers the most up-to-date developments in the global finance.
Texas and 9 other states sued Google on December 16th, accusing it of working with Facebook in violation of antitrust law to boost its already dominant online advertising business. The states asked that the Alphabet Incorporated owned company, which controls a third of the global online advertising industry, compensate them for damages and sought structural relief, which is usually interpreted as forcing a company to divest some of its assets. The Texas lawsuit is the second major complaint from regulators against Google and the fourth in a series of federal and state lawsuits aimed at reining in alleged bad behavior by big tech platforms that have grown significantly in the past 2 decades. The lawsuit was filed in the Eastern District of Texas. Google called the Texas lawsuit meritless. Facebook did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The action raises the legal stakes for Google, which is now expected to face a third antitrust lawsuit from another group of attorneys general on Thursday, according to a source familiar with the matter. In its lawsuit, Texas asks a judge to find Google guilty of breaking antitrust law and to order the violations to stop. It also accused Google of working with Facebook. The two companies compete heavily in internet ad sales and together capture over half of the market globally. According to the lawsuit, as internal Google documents reveal, Google sought to cool competition and has done so through an array of exclusionary tactics, including a non-lawful agreement with Facebook, its largest potential competitive threat. In response, a Google spokeswoman said the company will defend itself from the lawsuit's baseless claims in court, and added digital ad prices have fallen over the last decade. Ad tech fees are falling too. Google's ad tech fees are lower than the industry average, and these are the hallmarks of a highly competitive industry. The 9 states that joined Texas are Arkansas, Indiana, Kentucky, Missouri, Mississippi, South Dakota, North Dakota, Utah, and Idaho. Google ad sales account for over 80% of Alphabet's revenue, but most of the sales and the bulk of Alphabet's profits come from Google's high-margin operation of placing text ads above search results. The business targeted by Texas and the other states, placing ads on partner apps and websites, matters far less to Google.
It'll be harder for video game makers CD Projekt SA to repair their reputation than their finances, according to one industry journalist, after Sony pulled their latest game from PlayStation Store. Sony Corporation said it's pulling Cyberpunk 2077 from its store and offering full refunds after gamers complained it was rife with bugs, knocking nearly 20% off the value of the Polish firm's shares. The unusual move is the latest blow for Poland's top video games maker, whose shares have tumbled 30% amid fury from disappointed fans, as well as the industry reviewers who complained they had limited access to the title before its December the 10th launch. Ollie Welsh, editor-in-chief of Eurogamer, said it will still obviously trouble their investors a great deal, noting they've got a very strong reputation off the back of their last game, and now they've damaged that severely. Going on to explain he thinks they will weather the storm financially, they have just had 8 million pre-orders for the game, and I would be surprised, he said, if a very large number of people actually asked for a refund. The backlash against the repeatedly delayed game has led to hard ringing over the hype that surrounds new titles, complicity of reviewers in driving that hype, and the work environment for rank-and-file developers. Wells said he reviewed the game on PC as the console version wasn't available until just before release, and he said he can't believe that CD Projekt wasn't aware of how bad the game was. He said even though they were shipping a substandard game for these people, he said, I think they felt they really wanted to have a product out there for those players. Explaining that despite the pressure around releasing a game like that project to sell more than 30 million copies, he thinks the release could have been delayed. Casper Copron, an analyst at Trigon DM Brokerage, said Sony's move is one of the worst possible scenarios for CD Projekt and expects the expectations for console sales to drop by 30 to 40%.
Ghislaine Maxwell, the British socialite accused of illegal acts, has pledged a bail package worth nearly $30 million in a bid to get herself out of a New York jail. Maxwell has pleaded not guilty to helping Epstein recruit and groom underage girls to engage in illegal acts in the mid-1990s. She also maintains that she did not lie under oath. Maxwell is scheduled to stand trial from July next year and, if found guilty, faces up to 35 years in prison. In court filings released on December 14th, she maintained her innocence and denied that she was a flight risk. The filing reads that, quote, Miss Maxwell wants to stay in New York and have her day in court so that she can clear her name and return to her family, end of quote. They also disclosed that Maxwell has been married since 2016 and that she and her husband would post a $22.5 million bond secured by all their assets towards bail. Most of the remaining bail money would come from her friends and family. Maxwell was arrested in July at her New Hampshire home, which prosecutors said she used as a hideout and that she concealed her identity to buy it. She's since been kept at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn after being denied a previous request for bail in July.
Chinese Ministry of Commerce said that China's auto market is speeding up recovery in November despite disruptions due to the pandemic, with the unleashed pent-up demand and supportive policies driving market resumption. The latest data released by the ministry showed the new vehicle sales hit 2.77 million units in November, up 12.6% year-on-year. Cumulative outputs and sales of vehicles in the January to November period declined 3% and 2.9% respectively. Of the sales, the new energy vehicles, the NEV, saw sales volume hiking 104.9% in November year-on-year, indicating positive growth with sales exceeding 1 million units in the period, up 3.9% year-on-year. Meanwhile, the sales of used cars in the domestic market topped 1.57 million, achieving double-digit growth for 4 consecutive months in a row. The cumulative sales volumes in the January-November period decreased 4.6% year-on-year, narrowing decline by 15% as compared with the first half of the year. And rise and fall has been reported regarding import and export of cars in November. China imported 107,000 cars in the month, down 12.3% year-on-year. While exports of cars in the same month climbed to 128,000 units, decline was further narrowed in the cumulative import and export volumes of cars during the January to November period.
A shop in Beijing sells gadgets, toys and games designed for the elderly in order to help get their brains and bodies moving. The shop in Beijing's Tongzhou district is called Lao Yu Su Wan, which means let the elderly have fun in Mandarin. Here, seniors can play games like hoop ruling and pitch pot, a traditional Chinese game that requires players to throw sticks from a distance into a larger canister. The small shop is home to more than 400 kinds of toys and has attracted more than 2,000 visitors. The store has become a popular meeting point for seniors, which benefits their mental and physical health, care workers say. Such stores will allow the elderly to have a healthy and happy life. They can make friends and have fun here, said Ni Feng, Secretary General of Tongzhou District Social Workers Federation. The owner of the toy store said he selected his inventory from the products of nearly 4,000 toy companies. He said most toy manufacturers were reluctant to customize their products specifically for the elderly, as safety and extra costs are big concerns. One toy maker said the market for senior games and gadgets is wide open, but consumers need to tap in. Liu Guangguo, head of the toy manufacturer, said that it takes a lot of time and effort to understand and find out what kind of products the elderly people need. Another difficulty is that a lot of efforts are needed to change people's buying habits. People often purchase toys for their children, but few would think about buying toys for their parents.
This has been Business Review, your daily source for the most critical financial stories. Tune in next time for the latest financial news impacting the world economy.